We at Resilience Unscripted would like to thank Breaking Barriers Recovery Home for sponsoring this week's episode.
This week's episode of Resilience Unscripted is sponsored by PK Law Group.
We're back for another episode of Resilience Unscripted, the Dirty 30, number 30, here with Mark Desourdy. Thank you for coming all the way from Worcester.
Glad to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to come.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Mark Desourdy. Be 48 years old this year. I grew up in a little small town, Charlton, Massachusetts. You know, I grew up with a family that I was raised by until I was 13 years old, thinking that the woman and the man that were in the home was my mom and dad, and the siblings were my brothers and sisters. However, at 13 years old, sitting down in my kitchen eating a bowl of American chop suey, I had a woman walk into my kitchen and tell me that she was my real mother.
Really?
Yeah. So she spent like the next 6 months of my life with me, like trying to rebuild our relationship. And after like 6 months, I went, like I did every day after school, I went to her house, her apartment. She moved into an apartment behind where I was growing up, and I went back there and she was gone again. And, yeah, so like from that's pretty much where I turned for the worse. Like I didn't start using drugs at that point, but like that's when my behavior started like coming out. You know, I started acting out. You know, I started selling drugs at a very young age, and things just kept progressing and progressing.
Yeah.
For many years.
How many siblings do you have?
I have one biological sibling that I know of that my mom had brought into this world, but she did the same exact thing to him as she did to me. He's serving a federal prison sentence right now down in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been incarcerated for about 8 years now. He's got like 3 left.
And your adoptive siblings, how many?
I had 2 brothers and a sister, Down syndrome sister.
Okay.
And that's another thing too. It was like one of my brothers that I grew up with. He was like the closest one to me, because he lived in the house that I lived in. The other one was pretty much gone, like on his own. And the one that I lived with, we ran together. And in 2007, I lost him too. You know, he died of a drug overdose.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was a tough one. Like all these moments I can remember very, very clearly. You know, like I remember the phone call. I remember, you know, exactly the meal I was eating, the meal I was making, who I was cooking for. Like I remember all that stuff. It was like something you just can't forget.
Very vivid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a tough day. And I ran with that for a while too. Like I used that as an excuse to get high for a long time too. You know.
Yeah. What about your adopted parents? Do you still see them?
No, mother passed away. Father said I wasn't his. I reached out to him one time when I was about to have my first daughter 24 years ago. And when I wrote him and told him that I believed that he was my real father, he said I wasn't his son and that he was all set with the family that he had. Yeah, so it was pretty tough. It was a pretty tough thing to deal with.
So why even adopt a child?
Oh, you meant my adopted family. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I just got so confused.
No,
I was like, oh my God, what a horrible thing to say.
No, I'm sorry. My adopted family was really good. They were okay to me. You know, I mean, the love really wasn't there, but you know, I wasn't neglected. You know, I was never abused physically, maybe a little emotional abuse. Constantly like telling me I was going to be just like my mother, that type of thing. Yeah, I used to get that a lot. More emotional abuse, but never no physical or anything.
But your
like
biological dad had that type of response?
Yeah, that was the response that I got from my biological father. Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it was him because it was over the internet, and it could have been his wife. I'm not really certain.
Maybe.
But whatever, I just let it be. You know.
Yeah.
I did fine. You know.
So what age did you get into? I know you said you started young with selling drugs. What age did you start using drugs?
I smoked my first joint at 18 years old.
Okay.
Up in Hampton Beach in a car full of dudes. People had thought that I had been smoking, but because I was pretending like I was, but I really hadn't been smoking. So that first time in the car with all these guys, like I had the peer pressure, and I tried it. And once I tried it, I loved it, and I ran with it for a while.
What was your drug of choice?
Unfortunately, anything that I could fit in a needle. Yeah.
Yeah. What age did it really progress for the worse?
I would probably say 2017 when my kid's mother finally left me.
Okay.
Well, she didn't leave me. I made bad decisions constantly, and I put her through a lot of things, and she just had to. She tried for a long time to get me to change, and I just couldn't do it. So that's when it turned for the worse. That's when I started using needles and things like that, and it just got real bad, real fast.
Why don't you walk me through what treatment looked like for you?
So I was introduced to AA at a very young age, 18 years old, because I caught my first case right out of high school. I served my first sentence when I was 18 years old. It was for selling marijuana, which is insane now because you can do it.
Which now you're going to slap on the wrist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that took a lot away from me too, because I was planning on going to school and stuff like that, but I didn't have an opportunity to do that after that. I mean, I did, but I didn't pursue it. But AA to me and NA to me back then was just like, I just didn't really get it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't. And I wish I would have, because like there used to be this guy that I met in Worcester at a meeting that used to always say like AA and NA will keep us away from the DA. And like I never
That's a really true statement.
It's absolutely a true statement, because if I would have just stuck around and like did what they told me to do, I would have been a lot better off. Like I wouldn't have to suffer as bad as I did. Unfortunately, I had to get clean in the DOC. That's where it happened for me. That's where I was able to change.
So how many stints in treatment did you have before you got clean? Just the one?
No, I have like 40 plus detoxes.
Really?
Yeah, I've been in programs from Maine to Spain.
Okay.
Yeah, all over Massachusetts. Yeah.
Let's talk about the one that finally did it for you.
Honestly, none of them did it for me.
What did it for you?
The DOC. I could say the CRA program in the Department of Corrections through Spectrum.
Okay.
Yeah, it was probably the only thing that I've had a clear enough mind to be able to like listen and learn. You know what I mean? Because like I'm behind the wall. Like I didn't really have much going on, so I really kind of paid attention. And I just told myself while I was in there this time that I didn't want to come home and do the same thing again.
What was kind of like the light bulb that went off for you? What was the moment that was like your aha moment?
Just like being clear-minded and then having to like listen to a 30-second recording over the phone to be able to talk to my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
How was it for your children?
Tough. I would say it was real tough.
What does your relationship now look like with them?
Amazing. I would say it's amazing, and I hope they think so too. Like my daughter just texted me on the way here saying that she's real proud of me.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, she's 18. She stays with me a few days a week now. So the day I was coming home from state prison, my daughter had been telling me, my oldest daughter, she's 24, so I have 24 and 18, and I also have 2 stepsons that I raised.
Okay.
Pretty much from 20 years old until I was 37 years old, I was a father of 2 boys that weren't my biological children, but like those are my sons too. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't a great father figure, you know what I mean? I did the best I could.
But you were there for them.
Yeah, I was there for them, but my oldest daughter had told me she had a surprise for me, and like I still had a little bit of selfishness in me, so I'm thinking maybe she bought me a pair of sneakers or an outfit to wear out of there, because I was coming home to nothing, and she had a little tiny box on top of the dashboard, and she's like, "Daddy, there's your surprise," and it was like this, and I opened it up, and it had like a little hay and a little egg on top, and the cover said "Crack Me," and I cracked it open, and it said, "The best dads get promoted to grandpas," at the same time as she was handing me the ultrasound photo. Yeah, and like I teared up in the parking lot, and like when I pulled out that parking lot, I just told myself I could never come back. You know what I mean? Like this little girl, my 2 daughters, unfortunately, and my 2 ex-stepsons, like they had to witness this, but like that little girl never has to. Like,
yeah.
I haven't really had to like call and explain to them that I'm in treatment again or I'm back in jail. You know what I mean? And that's huge.
How many grandchildren do you have?
I have 1 from my daughter, and I have 2 from my stepson.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are they like? Thinking back on the differences of obviously when you were raising your children and being in and out of treatment, do your grandchildren know that you're in recovery and that you work in recovery? Are they young? Are they?
My grandson actually made me, it's funny too, because it's in my car hanging, I could show you, but he made me a necklace for when I got out that said "straight out of prison." Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I love that.
Yeah, so he knows. He thought it was wicked cool that his grandpa was in jail. He was telling everybody, all his family members, like,
yeah,
Papa's
a lot
in
of
jail.
kids.
It's like,
a lot of kids think that's cool because it's in the movies.
Yeah, it's not
but
cool.
How fast we learn, it's really not.
It's definitely not cool. No.
Yeah. So, what does life look like for you now?
My life is amazing now. Like I enjoy getting up. So when I first came home, I started doing carpentry because that's what I do. I'm a carpenter by trade, and I make really good money at it. But like after coming home and doing it for a while, I realized that I never done that job sober. You know what I mean? Like I've never even.
It's a tedious job too.
Yeah, it's a tough job. And like I fell 25 feet off a ladder. I have 2 steel plates, 8 screws in my neck. Due to me being high at work.
Right.
I fell off a ladder 25 feet. Was almost paralyzed from the neck down. but that wasn't enough. You know, I had to keep going. And so I was working. Someone had told me that they had that they were hiring BHTs at a detox, and I started working there as a BHT. So I was doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I was doing carpentry, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was doing 12-hour shifts at a detox, and the pay was like almost half the pay. But like when I got home at the end of the night, like after working in a detox, like I just felt much better about
But
myself.
to have your sanity,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I ended up leaving, doing carpentry. The guy that I was working for is like one of my really good friends. Like, and like our relationship was always back and forth too, because like he doesn't use, he's never used, you know, and he doesn't really understand the he might understand the addiction, but he just doesn't tolerate it. You know, he doesn't want it in his life, and I don't blame him. But we had a business together and everything. He was my best friend. He was my landlord. It was just always something. And he's like one of my good friends again. You know, like we built our relationship back up. Like he's a good friend of mine again. You know, I hang out with him sometimes now. And my stepson's father too is like one of my biggest supporters. You wouldn't like people when I was locked up in prison. Like people were like I'd get canteen almost every week, and people would ask me like how I make canteen, and I would tell them.
You had people supporting you.
Yeah, but I really didn't. I had one person, and it was the person that you would least expect. Like my stepson's father was the one holding me down when I was in there. You know, and
You don't see that quite often.
you don't see that really at all. I don't think there's
Yeah.
anyone else in there that's
Yeah.
going on. You know what I
No.
mean? But like, yeah, we became best friends after like 10 years into mine and my kid's mother's relationship. Like we did everything together. Like the four of us and all the kids. Like they would sleep at our house on Christmas Eve. Him and his wife would stay with us. We'd camping trips together, Red Sox games together. Like it's like one of my best friends. My
That's
stepson's
nice.
dad. Yeah. Yeah. So now I worked at Sunrise Detox for about 7 months. I was literally working like 180 hours every 2 weeks, literally.
Yeah.
And then
There's such a need for treatment, and a
Yeah.
lot of people just get burnout that
Right.
you get put on very quickly
right,
to on-call and overtime.
yeah, and then me being there so much, I ended up becoming a program director after 7 months of being a BHT.
Good for you.
Yeah, but it was just a lot there. It was a lot of no management, no support.
Yeah.
So I left there. I was working at Haven Detox for a while. But currently, I'm a recovery coach for the Gavin Foundation. I work for the Gavin.
Nice.
Yeah, and I love that job. I really love that job.
It's a really good organization.
Excuse me. Yes, I love it. Yeah, they take care of us. Like we had our Christmas party. It was amazing. Yeah, they're really good people. Good organization. And I also I've been working at a residential halfway house per diem, but I
Okay.
just picked up a full-time position, so I'm going to be working 2 full-time jobs.
Jeez.
Yeah, I picked up a counselor position on a new RRS that's going to be in Worcester.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That's
and
nice. Let's talk a little bit about safe passage, recovery, transportation.
yeah, so
Let's go. Let's talk about this.
yeah, so I've been thinking of different things to like start a nonprofit to help people out, and this is something I came up with because I see a lot of need for it on my Facebook constantly. I'm seeing people like, hey, I need a ride from here, I need a ride to there, you know.
Yeah.
So I kind of started putting this together. Like it's still really not up and running yet. I'm hoping in the next like 90 days it is.
Yeah.
You know, one day at a time. I think I'll get to where I want to be.
I think it's a great option because not a lot of people have that.
Yeah.
And there has been some in like this area, but I don't know what's out in Worcester. And
Nothing.
I feel like Worcester's such a broad area that it needs resources.
Right.
This is going to help a lot of people.
Yeah. So what I want to is like most facilities will call you an Uber. You know what I mean? I just don't feel that that's conducive to someone that's trying to make it to treatment
not.
because half the time, like the person driving can convince the Uber driver to stop at a Packy, stop at a convenience store, and then they might not even get back in the car.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
And Ubers aren't skilled really to deal with
no.
the mental health clientele of what's going on in active addiction or withdrawals, anything like that. So this is
Right.
really catered to people that are, in transport to and from recovery,
Yep.
that maybe have a little bit of a mental health deficit going on at that time. So this is something that's gonna, I hope for you, thrive and take off because it's well needed.
I hope so too.
I do. I really think it's gonna go places.
Yeah, we want to be able to offer people like cosmetic packs when they go in, you know what I mean? So people feel a little
Yeah.
better because a lot of people are coming straight off the street. They don't have
Right.
family to support them, you know, like I've worked, like I said, I've worked in the detox field, so I've seen people come in and like they don't even want to take their shoes
So
off
what
when
would
they're
you
getting
do, like
searched.
toothbrush,
Yeah, it's
toothpaste,
just
things like
basic
that?
cosmetics,
But like
yeah.
recovery
And
treatment
like,
center. version.
Yes,
So like
of course,
the no alcohol.
free,
right.
yeah. And then maybe give them some NAA literature so they have
Nice.
something to read when they're in there. And, you know, hopefully if it's a recovery coach driving, they can give them a card so they can reach out to them when they get out.
Question.
You know.
The staff that you're trying to build around SPRT, will they all be trained recovery coaches driving? Is that your vision
Well,
to have?
all the board members right now are.
Good, I love that.
We have 3, and I just talked to another one today about putting her on. But the vice president of the company is my best friend, and it was someone that ran the streets with me. We sold drugs together, we got high together, we fought together. You know what I mean? And like now we're just full circle doing this together this way. You know what I mean? In a positive manner, and it's amazing.
It's
yeah.
giving back.
Yeah.
You know, this wasn't around 20 years ago. They
No.
had cabs with medallions.
know,
Then we
yeah.
went into Ubers, and now we have things like this that hopefully are going to get people to and from places safely.
Right.
You know, a lot of times we'd see girls leave treatment, come back to the house, and they would have drivers that were just so like ill-equipped in the scenario, and like emotions are high, and it would just be a nightmare. I had one girl get out and call me and be like, "Can you send me another Uber? I'm not getting back in this car."
That's exactly what it is. Like most of the time when you get in an Uber, it's someone that doesn't even speak the same language. You know what I mean? And it could be both ways. You could have a Haitian that you're driving to treatment and a white driver that doesn't speak that language. You know, it's vice versa. So just to have people that are bilingual and speak different language to be able to pick people up and bring them to treatment where they can have an encouraging ride in. You know, not a mute one where there's no talking. The person that's trying to go into treatment is in their head thinking about, do I really want to go? If they're having a good conversation on the way there, you're going to get them all the way there. You know? I think that's important.
So where are you now in your recovery? How many years do you have?
My sober day was July 11, 2021, and that's the day I went to prison. You know, so yeah.
Yeah. So what does service work look like for you?
I actually had been doing very limited of that, but I've been picking up a lot of it now. Like this was one thing I wanted to do. I'm speaking Friday night at another meeting.
Good.
I'm just starting to get back into it, you know. Like I started falling short, like after I left the sober house, but like I had a lot of work to do to get my life back because
this is also service work.
Yeah, exactly,
in a roundabout way, because you're giving back to somebody,
Right.
and you're putting all your effort and your time into forming. Is it a 501c3?
It's a 501c, yep.
You're putting all your effort and time into running this, and it's building something. It's like, you know, the baby. Like it's the baby that you're putting out into the community, and now you're giving your all into everything. So you know. This is now your service work.
Exactly.
A portion of it.
When I came home, I had nothing though. You know what I mean? I literally walked out of state prison with shower shoes, some beat up shorts, and a tee because I left everything I had to them because I figured I would get everything. And I just started setting small goals. You know what I mean? And like I took the bus an hour each way to go to work for the first 6 months to work with that kid I was telling you about. And I worked with him for doing that, and then I was able to like get my license back, buy a vehicle, signed up for Raft, got my own apartment. They paid my first, last, and security. Like I've been in my apartment in 2 years now. Like I've never.
Good for you.
Yeah, I've never even had my own apartment. Like since my kid's mom and me split, like I've always lived with her, and then after that, like I've always lived where someone worked. You know what I mean? It was either hotel, jail, institution. You know what I mean? Like I've never had my own spot, my own keys to my own place. You know, and I can actually walk into my house now and not have to like worry about an eviction notice being on my door. You know, like they say you're not broke if your bills are paid, and like I try to maintain my bills. I'm not like the best at it, but I nothing shut off right now. You know,
Right. And that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That means the money's going in the right places.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
What does your 5-year goal look like for you, for your organization?
My 5-year goal is to have my own home. That I can bring my grandchildren to because I wasn't able to do that for my daughters. I at least want to do a couple nice vacations by that, and I really want this to be thriving where people are getting as much help as possible. You know, I want not even so much for me. Like I just want my goal is to make a better community. You know what I mean? Like it's let people know that this is worth it. You know, because I spent a long time in that mentality where I just thought that getting high was the everything, you know what I mean? Like if I could get high with no consequences, I would still be out there. Right. You know what I mean? But like the consequences just way outweigh the benefits of being clean, you know?
If you had somebody that wanted to leave detox, what would you tell them?
Oh, I was an AMA king, AMA blocker king. All the detox I work, and I'm pretty good at that.
So what'd you tell them?
All different scenarios. It depends on the person.
All right, so I'm gonna give you one.
I'll give you my best one. One kid I told the kid, because he was a young kid, you know, and I told him, I was like, and it might not have been the right thing to say to the kid,
But it worked.
but it did work, and the kid's still clean. I told the kid, I'm like, give it your best shot for 90 days. If you don't feel like your life is better in 90 days, I'll bring you to Maine South and buy you your next bag. That's what I told him. And maybe it wasn't the right thing to say, but the kid did it, and I wouldn't have bought him the bag anyways.
Right.
But it was a good
It
scenario.
was a false promise.
Yeah, it was definitely a false promise. But the kid's still clean. You know what I mean? And he stuck around, and he still says it to me when I see him. You know,
It stuck with him.
it might not even be the reason why he stuck around. You know what I mean? It might not be.
But he's here and he's
but
living and he's
still,
healthy.
He's still doing good.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
You know. So, going forward in your career, what does it look like for you? What are you planning on doing? I'm a very personable person. I talk to a lot of people. I have a lot of resources. I have a pretty good name in my community out there, you know, for helping people. So I just got this new job at a new RRS, like I said. It's called Nexus Recovery Center. Okay.
So
I've seen
I'm
that.
hoping to grow with that, you know what I mean? Like, the guy that hired me told me that there's plenty of room for growth. They're opening up other facilities, you know what I mean? And like, I have a lot of ambition and motivation. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not a slump. Like, I like to work, you know, and I'm really good with time management and like that type of thing, you know. Like, when I'm sober, I do the right thing. Like, I wish I would have did this a long time ago, because I would have probably been pretty successful. Unfortunately,
It takes us sometimes to have a setback for
Yeah.
the comeback to be bigger and better. Yeah.
minor setback for a major comeback. Someone
Yeah.
when I was locked up, we used to say that all the time.
Yeah, and it's about learning and evolving and growing, and that's what we said on the last episode for the girls chat that we just did. Like, you have to like learn from your mistakes to go forward and like rebrand and re-envision like what the bigger goal is in life. And I think that like if we can take a little thing from every experience that we have and mesh it into like the greater, bigger picture, we could probably do some really important things in life.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
So, anything else that you didn't mention that you want to add in?
No, I mean, anybody that's watching, you know, just give yourself a chance, because like I never gave myself a chance, you know what I mean? Like, I used to always hear people say it, like all those cliche statements, they used to piss me off, you know what I mean?
People get angry with them too.
Yeah,
They're
I
like,
used to
"Don't
hate
say
them.
that to me."
But now I have one tattooed across my chest, you know.
I was looking at your bracelet when you first came in. I was like, one day at a time. And it's true, because people try to jump like ahead, right? And like everyone wants to look ahead because that's like natural. That's what you do. But if you don't start at day one and 24 hours becomes 48, 48 becomes 72, it's unrealistic, and you're not going to get remotely close to where you want to be. You're going to be stuck in the same process.
Right.
So it is true. I mean, as cliche as all these sayings are, it is one day at a time.
Yeah, it is.
With any type of situation, recovery, mental health, anything.
Yeah.
You know, that's like the bottom line. It's every 24 hours matters.
Yeah. And I just do a lot of things, you know, like I did more this past year than I've done in my 47 years of existence. You know, I went to like 4 Patriots games. I went skydiving, you know, like, yeah.
How was that?
It was amazing. I was scared as hell. My one of my good friends that helped me start this, he convinced me to go, and there was four people go on the plane at a time, and they wanted me to go last. The instructors were like, "Oh, he's gonna go last," because the guy that was jumping with me wanted to go last.
Yeah.
And my boy was like, "No, he can't go last," because he thought that I would stay on the plane if
And
they
not
all
jump
jumped
out.
off. But once I did it, like I want to go every year now for the rest of my life. It was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so fun. You've been?
No.
Yeah, you should
No, I'm
try.
answering like I know what you're talking about, but no. I
Oh,
mean,
man.
I've watched plenty of videos.
Yeah.
I've never been on a plane.
Yeah. Oh,
We talked about that the last episode too.
much less jumping out one.
Exactly. Never been on one. I want to go on one. I have a lot of anxiety, so we'll see where that goes. But I think that's my goal, is like take a flight somewhere, even if it's just to New York and back. Because if I don't like, obviously, the plane, I could drive home.
You're not even gonna know. You won't even know.
Yeah.
You really don't even know.
It's gonna be the anticipation of getting on the plane.
Yeah.
And then the plane taking off.
Yeah.
That's
You
gonna
really.
be.
It's happened so fast. Like.
Yeah.
It's nothing. Yeah. It's simple.
They were giving me the statistics the last episode. I was like, all right.
Statistics for what?
Less
Crashes.
people die in plane crashes than they do in car accidents, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on a plane. A lot of people would die at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But knock on wood, please dear God, don't happen. So.
Yeah. And I just try to stay busy. You know, I play softball a couple nights a week. I play darts.
Nice.
I do play darts in a bar, but like I don't have to drink. You know what I mean, like I can go and have fun
And there's a
and play
misconception
darts.
with that. People think because you're in recovery that you can't go out and like socialize around a setting where people are recreational drinking. You can. It's how strong you are in your recovery to make that choice.
Right. I went to Ocean City, Maryland, to the beach for 2 weeks with my friends, and was the designated driver the entire time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Watching them in the club. One of my friends is really nuts. You know what I mean? And he's 35, but he parties like he's 15. Like he runs into the middle of the circle at the club and just starts dancing. But it's fun. It's actually fun to watch, you know.
Yeah.
And then I'm out at the pool waiting till they all wake up, and I'm not hungover. You
Right.
know what I mean?
And
So
it's a different feeling too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But my life is good today, you know. Like I owe it all to honestly to the court system. But today, now I
Did you ever
maintain
think that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts would be your saving grace?
No, I really didn't, and much less did I ever think that I'd be working in the Massachusetts court system. I work in the Uxbridge Recovery Court, you know, and it just boggles my mind that I literally walk into the court and I don't even get checked. I don't even go through security. I just walk right through.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm in there with the DAs and
It's
the
a
prosecutors.
invigorating feeling.
It's weird. It's still weird to me. I've been doing it for like 4 months now, and it's just still weird. I feel weird
Because
walking in there.
we're used to being treated criminalized.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
we get looked at, whether it's a minor record, a large record, whatever mark you have against you, you're looked at differently.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you're able to give back and work in that community, and you see both sides of the being on either side of the docket,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little different now, and it's like it probably takes you back.
Yeah,
a
it
little
does.
bit.
Yeah. When I first came home and got a vehicle on the road, when I got into this car more, but I was getting pulled over a lot. And the first few times I got pulled over, I was out of the car.
Why were you speeding?
No, they were just,
They were just targeting you.
yeah, my car kind of does look like a car that they would run the plate, you know what I mean? Because it has tinted windows, it's black rims, you know, the Honda Accord. So they look
So
at
what
it
are you
like,
saying? Anybody with a Honda Accord gets
no,
pulled
they
over?
just, you know how the police
Yeah.
stereotype, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
may think it was a drug dealer's car, so they run the plate. One time, one of the last times I got pulled over was in Shrewsbury, and the cop told me that I had 43 inquiries on my plate. You know, that's 43 times it's just been ran. But
Right.
out of that, I probably had been pulled over 15, at least 15.
Yeah.
And two times out of the car, 6 cops there searching my vehicle, searching me.
Wow.
But it's gotten way better. Like since I went into the Webster police station and spoke to them, it's gotten way better since that. I don't know if it was that reason,
What
but
did you tell them?
I just went in. So what happened was my Facebook post came back up from my arrest after like 3 years I've been out, and I mean 3 years after it happened, and someone commented some dumb shit on dumb stuff on there, and
You can swear. We have safe harbor hours, so we get played on the actual TV after 10 p.m. So you can swear. It's okay.
yeah. So what was I saying?
Someone posted.
Oh yeah,
some
so
dumb shit.
someone posted something negative about me on the Facebook post, and the chief of police in Webster, where I caught the case, messaged me on Messenger and apologized for that happening to me because he had been seeing what I've been doing in the community, and asked me if I would come in and do a speech.
At least he was
to
kind
them.
enough to apologize.
He was
Yeah.
actually not a bad guy, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. So he asked me if I would come in there. They were having like their yearly convention where all the officers were going to be there, and he wanted me to come in and tell my story pretty much. And
Yeah.
and I did. And as much as I didn't want to do it, like I had talked to a bunch of people about it, like should I do it? Should I not do it? And everybody was like, you have to do it. You know what I mean? And I went and did it. And I felt better after I did it.
Yeah.
You know, like to just be able to, that was my amends. That was my amends to the community. Because
To society.
that's where I sold drugs pretty much from 20 years old on, you know, for like the next 2 decades. I was out there running and using and selling and just being a destruction in that town. So
Yeah.
that was my way of making an amends.
That's awesome, though.
yeah.
And like now they know that you have resources, so I'm sure if they have somebody
Yeah.
that they need to get help for,
Yeah.
you're a point of contact for them now.
Right.
you know?
I met with the Uxbridge Police Department 2 weeks ago, and I got arrested in Webster, but it was actually the Uxbridge K-9 that came there and got me, and now I work in the Uxbridge Court.
It's awesome.
And Uxbridge is probably, hopefully, going to give me a grant to do this
I
because
love that.
they told me they had some funding that they wanted to give away, and they wanted to give it to me, so
That's awesome.
it's going to be cool. Yeah.
Why don't you let people know the contact information for you? Let's
Okay.
put it out there so they can find you.
Yeah, you can find us on Safe Passage Recovery Transport on Facebook. That's pretty much it. We don't have a website right now, but that would be the only way to find us. Or you could, that's it. That's the only way to find me, would be SPRTmass2026@gmail.com, or Facebook Safe Passage Recovery Transport. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to close with?
All right, pretty good.
That's it?
Yeah.
Well, this wraps up episode 30. We'll see you next time. Bye.